Hi guys, welcome to another analysis video. This is another Hampstead under 2200 FIDE rated tournament. I don't know how many I've played now, but obviously I keep coming back because I enjoy the tournament even if my results are a bit pants. It was snowing yesterday. That was a new facet. Never had snow on my way to an event before, so everyone who was supposed to turn up, so they must have had their snow plows on. And TFL, for some unknown reason, seemed to be working, which, usually one flake of snow and that's it, it's all over. Anyway, I'm going to continue to keep plugging Chessengland.com because my friend Adam Ralph, which I'm going to highlight here, does an awesome job for chess in general, especially in London, where, there's a lot of chess in London. It's pretty much all goes through Adam, and it's all thanks to him. So you need to come to this website and check out. Over here on the right, we've got a tournament calendar. I'm going to be playing in one very soon, the Petswood and Orpington Rapid Play, where here's all the details. The prize fund's pretty big actually, 1400 for a Rapid Play. That's pretty impressive. And even though the money's tempting, I'm still not going to play in the under 160. I'm still going to go for the Open because I said I would play all year in Opens, so I'm going to stick to my guns. And then at the end of that, we'll see. I may play down a section at the end of all of this year of chess, and then just see how it goes. See if I've suddenly turned into an absolute shark in the under 160 section. Because my grade's being unaffected at the moment. If anything, it's going down because of all the losses I'm racking up. Anyway, come and visit this website. This website's awesome. It's so detailed. So, if you need to know about anything that's going on soon in chess, this is the place to come. Adam's also just about to, or it has actually already started doing adult training courses. And it's only £5 a person, so that's really cheap, and it's only an hour long, and he covers all the aspects that you need. Let's face it, like end games and tactics and a few GM games to go through. And he's a strong player. He's a 190/2100 FIDE rated player, so he'll definitely be able to help you out. I guess specific rating range would be from about 120 up to about 160, but I'm sure there's lots to learn for people that are better, and even if you're just starting, he's probably got a few tips to go along the way. He's been playing chess a long time himself. So that's the end of my plug for chessengland.com. So get on with that. Get on there and find some events and come and see me, because I play most of these. Probably not this Prodigy chess tournament. That's not me. I think my prodigy years would be about 12 years ago when I stopped playing chess. But there you go. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to look at a game. So let me just get the board up. Let me just get rid of the web page, remove, and then switch to chess. Bear with, won't be long. Screen capture. I love the software. It's so good when it works. There. There is a board. Amazing. Oh, silky smooth. Okay, so let me get on with the game. This was round 3. I usually only play 4 games out of the 5 rounds, because 3 rounds in a day is just too much. I mean, you have to be like really well practiced, I think, to be able to take three games in a day. Round 1, which I usually play round 1 and 2 and then drop out of 3. Round 1, my opponent was too tired, so he defaulted on time, so he gave me a point. And okay, I get no ratings for that, but what it did do is it meant that I would definitely be playing harder people than I normally would going forward. Like usually I play one of the top seeds, lose, and then play someone second from the middle down to the bottom, basically. And then if I lose that one, then I just stay at the bottom and I just play juniors. And the juniors are all dangerous. They're only rated 1500, but they're all dangerous. You don't want to get pulled down into that lot. So it kept me up, and I managed to get a result out of one of the 2 games on the Saturday anyway. So, which is the game I'm going to go through now. Game 2, I got a good lesson. Basically, I've just started playing E5, and I don't know enough about it yet. I like the positions you get from it. It's very nice to say, right from the beginning of the game, I'm challenging for the centre. I'm a big time Sicilian player, but you have to be like really fired up to be getting your counter attack going, etc. It's a lot of theory, but you still need to be like all over your game to turn it around and then win. Well, I think with e5, you're pretty much saying to white, because I play e4 myself, and I suffer on the e4 side of it. And it's saying, oh, well, what are you going to do? I've just taken the exact same amount of space as you, so okay, you've got one move. Don't mess up, because your one move goes, and then that's it. I'm equal. So that's why I'm going to have e5 as my backup weapon. And I've got two main openings I'm looking at, which is the Petrov and knight c6. And knight c6 is obviously masses of fury, so that's one's going to take me a lot longer. But I got handed my butt to myself by a 200 ECF player on move 18. It was resign time. I would show you, but I just, it's quite funny actually how quickly I collapse. So like move 12, everything's fine. Move 14, oh my god. So, but he's a good lad, and as I say, I'll get him next time. So that led me on to game 3, which is the game I'm going to show you now. The guy's 2011 FIDE rated, and he's 192 ECF. And without much further ado, I'll get into it. So I'm an e4 player. That's never going to be too much of a shocker. I know a tiny bit about f4 and nothing about d4 or c4. So if you see me do a game analysis on that, then I'm definitely winging it. Caro-Kann, fine. Have no idea what variation is going to come yet. I played a knight c3 line. It's got a lot of theory, but it's easy theory, so it's very easy to remember. I think the biggest challenge is probably still just pushing the pawn forward and playing the advanced variation of it. But I just don't know enough. You get your most decisive results in this opening, which is amusing because if you think about this, it's very similar to the French. And in this line of the French, the results are draw or black win, or every now and then white manages to squeak one. So it is quite amusing for the slight difference, and the big difference is that the light square bishop can get out. So it's definitely something I'm going to have to look at. So if I ever take chess seriously, I know it seems like I am, but I'm not. If I ever take chess seriously, it's the kind of opening I need to look at, because you need to win all your games as white, and maybe not every game as black, which is what I keep trying to do, and it keeps going wrong. So anyway, didn't play the advanced variation. I played knight c3, takes, and now here he's got quite a few choices. There's knight bd7. You can just play e6, to be honest. A lot of this transposes. You can play knight f6, is what he does play. This is the big main line. I got this game in the very last round, and I managed to get a decent kingside attack and won quite easily, actually, funny enough, which was a nice change, because normally I struggle in the last round. But he played a line I don't know too much about. If anything, what I know about this, and it's quite amusing, because chess is it's a strange world, let's put it that way. So I was looking at a couple of games on Chess24, just because I've got some friends that play chess that are pretty good. One of them being Jovanka Huska, women's British champion. I think she's still British champion. She generally is. And she's really good in Caro-Kann. She's done books on it. And she played a 2400 IM. She's 2400 herself. And this line, literally seen just, I don't know, about 4 hours before I played this game. I had no idea that my opponent was going to play knight f6. But the funny thing is, even though Jovanka won, I actually liked white's position. So I went for that, and I thought, well, I'll just wing it from there onwards. So this is the theory part of it. You line up against the h7 pawn. Easy check. Thank you very much. Free pawn, and then you're laughing because these pawns aren't too great. He's not having that yet. But why not? Rook check, develop a piece, and it's check. But my knight was always going to e2, so there's not a problem here, and it's defended, enough times. So there's no quick queen e7 and panic. I've got plenty of time to castle. The only thing to remember is this bishop. If I castle, he's got this. He can set up the same battery, which he does do. And my general thoughts of this opening is, from Jovanka's game, is it was like Space Invaders. These pawns just basically come down the board, and she basically checkmated him. The king came up, the rook came over, and it was game over. So it's quite scary to meet. There's no obvious attack plan against these four pawns, apart from one, which I'll come to very shortly. So that just blunts the bishop. So now I don't have any attack on. Damn it! I don't have any attack on h7 now, so that's forgettable now. Now the bishop's just basically looking after this square, potentially a push here, and what my other plan, which I didn't play, is just to play the h pawn up the ball, because I found recently when I play my simplistic plans, they just backfire. But funny enough, the computer, like having looked at this later on, likes it. It's not a win for white, but it's just an easy attack, and in black has to do whatever. But I was just slightly concerned that, you know, b4, a4, and his attack was better because he was attacking me with more pawns. I mean, that's by the by. I mean, you can't be scared about that, because funny enough, the last round game that happened and I won. So yeah, you see ghosts a lot of the time, but it's a good plan, and maybe for another game I'll go for this line. But I thought nothing wrong with castling. There definitely isn't anything wrong with castling. So obviously this plan's gone now, but that doesn't matter. I've got other ideas. I got a 4 against. Whoop. Okay, we're not highlighting properly today, but I got a 4 against 3 majority on the queen side. So at some point I'm going to push the pawns up the board. I'm not sure exactly which order I'm going to do it in, because I think that now I'm not too scared about these coming down the board. Not when I've got 3 solid pawns in front of my king, and I can just respond in general. You know, whichever pawn push comes down first, I can respond in kind and probably block up. It's a lot easier for me to block up 3 against technically 3, even though there's 4 pawns here. It's only covering 3 ranks, 3 files even, while I've got freedom of movement on this side. So, you know, at some point I'm going to get a break in the center of the board. There's no pawn on e6 to stop me playing d5, but he plays energetically. So seeing as I'm feeding my way through the opening, I'm literally thinking of this and burning up quite a bit of time. We both become very low. I know I say this is like my story of every game, but we're both very low on time by the end of this game, which would again explain why the ending goes a bit haywire. Excuse me. So obviously he's attacking h2, so I have to do something about that. There's a few ways to defend. I've got knight here, I've got h3, I've got g3. Now I'll go through my faults. Originally I was just going to play g3, but a couple of reasons I didn't like this. One was, you know, total panic, h4, h5, and then oh my gosh, he's going to hack me to death. Look, everything's lining up with my king, I'm going to die. So, and the other one was, if I play it forward, then perhaps the bishop's going to be developed with tempi, and then I'll move my rook, and then like his bishop's out, and again he's still got that hook, and now his bishop's in a dangerous place. Magically his queen can get to here and checkmate me. You know, it's not. It is quite funny how early you can be a bit scared of your opponent's ideas. But, you know, chess, you get to move too, so that's the good side of it. My other option, and funny enough, one that I possibly could have played, is just f4 straight away. Now I didn't like it massively because I was thinking, oh, if I play f4, then I'm leaving this square completely open. And after f5, he's actually got a really nice hold on e4, and I was a bit nervous about that, but you know, as the game develops, you'll laugh because I do play f4, because I have to stop another idea, but I'll come to that when I get to it. So that's why I ended up playing what I played, which was h3. Apparently best is knight g3, but I was then thinking, well, what squares have I got? And then is my knight not a target here? As I just said, I was a bit concerned about this. In fact, let's just play on a couple of moves. Let's see what happens on this. Oh wow! Oh wow! Oh yeah, of course. Well, there you go. So that's my tactical ability. That's just rubbish. You just take here, takes. Oh, I will show it. Come here, check, and then like how does it respond? The knight's coming in. This is just horrid. So like for instance, if king over here, oh my word. Oh, I can just take the rook. So not that. Definitely not that. I can take the rook anyway, so there's no saving the rook. You can block with the queen, I guess, to get some pressure, but it's just winning. So that's interesting. So that's good to know. So that's a ghost that I don't have to worry about. So I guess the other one's f5, sorry, with exactly the same plan. And it's saying just bishop out, just bishop out. Okay, push. Okay, yeah, actually, yeah, no. So there you go. So that's the ghost of the position once more. I mean, this looks nice. Look, I've got this square. It's just Um, if I get rid of this dark square bishop, I'm probably laughing actually. I mean, that's probably the best move. Or maybe back to f8. Either or, this looks good. All my pieces are out. He's still not developed. So, not the queen. The queen's okay. This is just a nice position for yeah, this is weak, yeah, no. So that shows you, you know, even at an early stage, you can panic crazily, thinking, oh no, it's just bad. But just a little bit of calmness there, and I would have gone, hang on a minute, yes, he's going to leave squares if he pushes either of these pawns, and a really big one in this case, in the case of the H pawn. So okay, so I think knight g3 is going to be coming without saying next time, unless I get the same opponent, in which case he's probably watched this video, in which case I'll have to come up with something else. Anyway, I played h3 just to avoid. There's nothing wrong with h3. It's just knight g3 is way more active, so I take note of that. Oh, and the other reason about well, I've got to say that it's funny how you talk yourself out of things. The other reason I didn't like knight g3 is because I actually thought it'd look better on c3 to help d5 push. And I stuck to my guns. That is exactly what I go for. I'm just remembering. You have to bear with me. My thoughts jump around, and I do get to the point eventually. And that was the other reason why I didn't like it, because I actually thought it belonged on c3. But I mean, I've been convinced g3 looks perfectly fine. So he brings his knight in. Now this is the reason why I played f4 now. Because if I don't, and he plays, because there's always a break in every single opening, which is why e5 is going to take me a while to learn. The break in this Caro-Kann is always c5 or e5 if there was a pawn on e5. There isn't here, so the only break he's got in the position is c5. And his position will look quite nice if he manages to do it. And the point being, after swaps, whatever I take with, say I take with a knight, I don't know, let's play a superficial move where I'm not really paying attention. That looks like a natural enough move. And in c5, now I've got a choice. What am I going to do? I mean, taking. Okay, I'll just show you just a little bit. If I take, then I guess you'd take with the knight. The knight's developed nicely. You've also now got this square, because I don't have my pawn on d4 anymore. So, you know, he's come out. He's probably got quite a level position. Look, black has no pawns in front of the bishop. The bishop can develop quite easily. Perhaps e6. I'm just thinking, just d7 and turned into a knight. Perhaps just d7 and then c6. You know, this is a nice position for black. It's probably level. It's not lost, but you don't, as white, you don't want to just give black an easy plan. And I think you'd probably even be able to just take with a bishop. I don't see as that being too bad either. And the point being, I don't know if I'd ever do it. Well, I probably wouldn't. I wouldn't want to swap pieces if I want to win a game. But the point is, this knight does have a really nice square. All of a sudden, again, black's pieces are all out. And that's what you want from black. You equalise and you win. Well, other people equalise and they win. I go from, like, massively winning as black to just complete blunder and loss. But never mind. There's a draw phase in the middle I just don't seem to be able to hold on to. So anyway, the point being, I wanted to play what I played, which I'm going to put on the board now, f4, because now I'm still controlling here. So if he plays c5 here, I wasn't so fussed, because at least I still got some control in the position. Doesn't change the fact about what I mentioned earlier, and he plays the right move. Because I mean, I'm not being funny. I'm also, I could just keep pushing this pawn as well. It's an attacking pawn at the end of the day. But his move not only stops my pawn, but he holds on to the e4 square. Now the knight can drop in, put some more pressure on e4. So again, he's doing really well. So f4 isn't that great at all. And you only realise these positional blunders after you've made them, kind of thing. And then hopefully you store it away and you don't do it again. Because here, I mean, black's got a slight edge. It's just easy play for him. He's got a target square. I don't really have any pushes on the king side. You know, g4's like a very, very long way away of playing, and you know, I'd get mated if I play something silly like that. So, okay, I messed up a little bit because there's not a lot I can do about this knight coming in. So I get along with what my original plan was, which is, well, I've got the 4 pawns against the 3 pawns, so I'm just going to get on with it. Now, the downside of this is his plan is just straightforward, and hilarity, if anything, is that this pawn is actually, even though it's defended three times, sorry, and could easily be defended 4 times, is actually pretty weak. And not only can his knight sneak into here, it can sneak into here, and then potentially have some pressure against not only the pawn, but also dropping into G3. It's not very scary at the moment, but you never know, right? I may move my rooks around and walk into a fork. So he's got options. So the opening's definitely gone better for him than it has for me. The knight move is strictly just to stop knight dropping in straight away. It's a bad move now if he plays knight e4. I'll just swap and be happy. It's fine. I'll just show that line. I'll just take with the bishop. And this is just fine for me, I think. I'll just win a pawn. What am I talking about? Just take it. Is it a pawn for a pawn? No. So, you know, that'd be happy days. I don't know what I'm talking about. It's just a pawn. So he can't drop the knight in. So he goes for plan 2. In a minute. I forgot about bishop t7. Which is fine, because, you know, at the end of the day, I'm not threatening anything. There's no pawn push yet. So I won't be doing any of that. My rooks aren't developed either, linked. He's linked his rooks, basically, and I need to do something similar, so I do the same. The downside of this is that my queen can no longer jump over to here to add extra defense. Oops. Drunk queen. Extra defense to the d-pawn. But I was thinking, okay, it's not that easy to attack the d-pawn. And my rooks can come up. You'll see. My plan is pretty obvious what I try to do. So he drops the knight in. Fair enough. He's attacking the pawn. Maybe sticking his knight on g3 just to be annoying. So funny enough, my knight comes back. This happens a lot in positions where you are not better. And sometimes you get to that point where you just have to react to your opponent. All I'm doing is redefending the pawn and stopping his knight coming into g3. So I'm reacting to him. Which when your opponent is a lot higher rate than you, it's not really the best way to go. But you just hang in there. That's something that I hope you've seen from my other videos. Is my hanging ability is getting a lot better. I'm not giving up when I know my position's not great. I'm just like, okay, I messed up. Let's just keep going. In fact, very aptly, Carlsen played yesterday against Gawain Jones, and he dropped a piece. Silly blunder. He played g4, allowing an interference pawn move, which attacked a piece and left a piece on pre, and he lost a piece. And he just kept playing. He kept playing good moves, setting problems, kept playing, and Gawain lost. So I know he's the world champion and everything, but Gawain's 26-40. He's no muppet. So you'd imagine any GM that level would beat Carlsen a piece up. But you know, fair play to him. Afterwards, he did all the interviews and everything. I mean, there's plenty of players that would have just stormed off. I mean, I certainly wouldn't have talked to the cameras after not winning a piece up against the world champion, because you know you're already telling in your head, and I'm sure this happened to Gawain, like telling your mates in the pub, "Oh, you'll never believe who I beat." Anyway, sorry. So gets on a very straightforward plan. He's just going to double up rooks, put loads of pressure down this file, and oh dear for me. But I'm like, well, the bishops, they cover a lot of squares, so there's no rook invasion as yet. The knight's easy to defend. You can't get another piece attacking the knight, even when the rook comes over. So okay, I have to sit here for a little bit. Eventually, I'm going to try and push my pawns up the board. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to do it yet. But you know, it's not like I've got nothing to do at all, and I just sit there and lose. Which, you know, you can be in those positions, and they're the most painful in chess, to be honest. So I've got options for later. For now, I'm just hunkering down. The other thing is, I'm defending the knight, but I'm also going to double up, because at some point, you never know, I may get to push this pawn after g4. And I had that in the back of my head. I was always thinking, you know, there are lines where that could happen. And in fact, after he drops his knight in, he'll have to probably take back with a pawn anyway. So you may as well be ready to push the pawn if you can. So that's partially the reason. And the other reason is the other square that's fairly tempting to go to is this one. But I just didn't want to leave the knight with one piece defending it. So after the other rook comes in, you know, it becomes a little bit even more awkward for me to defend the knight. Because obviously you'd swap rook for two pieces, because that's just good for you, especially in these kind of closed positions. So that's why I went to rook f2. So it brings the other rook over. I bring the other rook over. As I say, at some point I'm dreaming I may be able to play f5. Knight comes back, so you know, quite possible that it'd be dropping in, and maybe f5's coming. So makes sense. Bring my knight back to the square. So dust has settled a little bit. We've both danced around. He's still better, I think. His pieces are better coordinated than mine, unfortunately. He does have a lot of pressure down the e-file. He's generally attacking. He's got the option of, as I say, dropping the knight in. But my rooks are developed to some squares. Like I say, G4 is a dream. It's just not going to happen or whatever. But my position's not collapsing, so I'm not sulking. I'm not upset. I'm a bit tense. You know, I know the opening hasn't gone brilliantly for me. And I'm still not 100% sure at this stage in the game how good this knight in move is. I mean, I was already pre-planning what I was going to play, which happens very shortly. But here is a bit of it's a tough lesson, because I don't know how much this is a computer move versus someone with real good positional understanding. And it's not an insult to my opponent, because he's actually a very good positional player. I've seen lots of his other games. He wins equal positions all the time. But if you sit on your hands, like if you've got a lot of time, we still had a fair amount of time here, probably maybe 20 minutes each left. You have to look at the aspects of the position, and the biggest aspect in this position, I know it sounds stupid, but you should always note pieces and pawns are undefended. And at the moment, I'm hovering over it anyway, the D pawn's undefended. This is totally defended. So if you think about those particular concepts and what your pieces are doing, you know, what is your bishop doing now? Is this pin ever going to be any good? Which I'll come to in a minute, because some interesting lines I was looking at, because that's actually quite tempting, because you're putting pressure on the C knight, and then perhaps knight coming in with d4. Well, I'll come back to the second, because I want to show the best move first. The best move, I'll give you a couple more seconds to think about it. I'm obviously hovering over the bishop, so it's a bishop move, and it doesn't give you many squares then, I guess. So it's actually bishop f8, and it seems really bizarre, but I don't know what I'd play here. Say I play a nothing move. Yeah, just play a3 or something like that. Then suddenly bishop g7. Now your bishop's an absolute killer piece. It's really hard for me to defend that d pawn. And, you know, the knight in idea now is becoming really, really powerful. But, you know, my opponent's not a computer, so he thinks through like I did. We were both expecting knight e4. So when knight e4 happened, we just continued playing. Because the whole black's build-up felt like knight e4 was the way forward. Now, he does play that. But I just want to quickly show this, because this is what I was looking at in the game. And I was thinking, gosh, this is a painful move. And then I was like, oh, what can I play? What can I play? And I thought, oh, maybe I can play this. And then it gets a little bit crazy. So, say, pawn takes. I was thinking, well, this should be alright. Because, one, I could probably take this way. Because I'm attacking his rook and his queen. Oh, actually, no, this looks terrible, actually, in the light of day. Bishop take, and he just got to move his rook, I guess. I'll just take it. And then I'm just down. Whoops. So that's a piece down. So I can't do that. So what else? What? Hang on a minute. Yeah. No. I am so crap at chess. No, I was going to take his bishop. That was it. And then I guess he can take here, and then I was going to take back with Tempe. This is tough as well. Look, he can just pin me. Because this is a big threat, right? So maybe this loses a piece too. Oh, God, I'm glad he didn't play Bishop b4. I may have just panicked. I may have panicked and just lost a piece there, so that's bad. Computer's actually saying it's okay because I can play d5. Which, how does that work out then? C takes, take back. Now take with a knight. Ah, yeah, this is better. I'm not losing a pawn this way. Plus I've got the pawn in the middle of the board, so there's no rook c6. Ah, yeah, this is much better. And it's gone to a level position. So, okay, so bishop. I wonder. See, I'll never know because it didn't happen. I wonder if I would have resisted the urge to play knight here, because I must admit I thought I was being really clever with this move. I thought it was much better than it is, because I thought, oh yeah, everything's hanging. It can't take back with a. This line I would definitely. This is the line I saw. This line's great for me because you can't take back with a pawn because the queen's actually pinned, and that's the point when the bishop moved. I'd only literally seen pawn takes because I'm like, oh yeah, I'm sacking a knight, but yeah, I mean, just knight takes is better, right? Or bishop takes. Hang on, what am I doing? Not pawn takes at all. Hang on, pawn takes. Yeah, bishop takes. Sorry, I know I'm jumping around a bit. I'm confusing myself. So what was I saying? Bishop c4, knight in here. Yeah, knight takes. Why would he ever play knight takes? Anyway, long story short, that was a load of rubbish, and luckily he didn't play that, because maybe I would have just instantly blundered. I'd love to back myself and say I probably would have played d5, but it's unlikely. I'm honest. But he didn't play that, and he didn't play bishop f8. He played the move both of us were expecting, and it happens to be the worst of the three moves. Because the pawn, obviously he's going to get a passed pawn at the end of this. I can't take with a knight, just to, this is pretty deaf. I mean, where do I go? Just drop back and then I'm forked, and it's just game over. And you got to look out for that, and quite a few lines coming up as well. So forced to take with a bishop. I'll just go back to the game here, and then I blockade. If you blockade, you really want to blockade with a knight, but the bishop's not doing a lot anyway. Actually, funny enough, controls a nice little diagonal along here. So funny enough. And I'm also now threatening f5, sorry, which I've been talking about for the whole game, which forces his next move, which gives me a tempi. So he stops f5, and now it's my move. So if you like, I know it sounds really weird, I've got my first move back, because he's now consolidated his position by playing f5, and it's my move. And to be honest, I don't have a lot of moves here. b4's rubbish, a3's too slow. I've got immediate moves. And as I said, the bishop's actually quite nice in this diagonal, so d5 wasn't a hard one to work out. The only thing to work out was after the recapture is what to take with, because it is tempting to take with a pawn, because then you're attacking the rook, and you're also attacking the h7 pawn. But you are leaving this pawn to trundle down the board. So, by deduction of I didn't want this pawn trundling down the board and winning, I took with a knight. So I gained time on the queen, and it's just a really nice knight anyway. The knight is also now defending the bishop, so in an ideal world, I'd swap these two over, and I'd probably be better, because this pawn's never going anywhere. The knight's would be doing a good job, and the bishop should be free to roam around. But the knight's doing also a good job here. So he's got to move his queen. He chooses b8, which is fine. Nothing wrong with b8. Defends the a pawn for one. So there's no me taking. I'm not sure I'd ever take it anyway. I'm totally paranoid about this pawn marching down the board, which gives me another move. So it's so annoying. Again, I've got a few choices here, and in a world, I was thinking of queen up, queen over, bishop back, well, checkmate here. Sorry, the arrows have decided to stop. Or check here, and it'll probably lead to checkmate 2, depending on whatever happens. Because, funny enough, I control that diagonal, and which again is why bishop g7 from f8 to g7 earlier was just negate any of my counterplay here. And I was just thinking, yeah, that's great. And do you know what I missed here? And I didn't play the best move. I played an okay move, it's still all right, but I didn't play the best move. And the best move is queen c3, and the reason that is because I'm also threatening to drop the knight in with check. So I keep gaining tempi to do what I want to do. But I must admit, I didn't see this cheapo for one. I know it's stupid. You should definitely be able to work that out, but I didn't. Um, I was thinking, oh, he's just going to bring his bishop round and swap off my knight. I don't really want to take back with a pawn and then him bring a rook over and then suddenly attack me on the queen side. You know, these are all very negative thoughts and not concrete at all. I should have been looking at this check when my knight was here. I was just all happy that my knight got to a good square and didn't go any further. And as you know, I'm very guilty of not working hard enough when I get to a nice position, because that's how I keep blowing really nice positions. So because of this ghost threat of, oh, bishop here and bishop takes, and I don't want to take back with my pawn, I still wanted to mate him. I wasn't, that ideal at least was real. I just go about it slightly the wrong way. I go queen d2 to protect the knight, and also to bring in the queen to d4 and in the bishop round to c3, which is a 4 moves and then I've won. But you've got to look at the cheapo moves too. An exchange here would be lovely. I'm not saying it's winning, but it would definitely be better than not getting the exchange. Oh my word, the phone's ringing. I'm just going to pause because the phone will go on for a second, and then it's suddenly going to jump back, and I'm going to be like I jump around because you won't know where I am. Bear with. And I'm back. So the phone stopped, whoever that was. Sorry for not answering. I've got other things to do. I'm doing chess analysis. It's very important to me. I still have an edge here, and as I say, my plan's straightforward. I'm still going to try and checkmate him. It's just queen c3. I mean, it doesn't fall. I will point out it doesn't win the exchange. There's definitely defenses. You can just play rook f8 for a start, and from here, I don't know. Maybe I'll just carry on with what I was doing anyway. Just play queen here. So the difference being is rooks stopping any shenanigans happening here, and the computer's actually saying, oh, it's still a slight edge for white, but doesn't. It's not an instant win. It's just. It's better because it makes black react. I mean, what I just played wasn't the best move as a follow-up, which I probably would have played anyway. Anyway, I could go around in circles about the moves I could have, would have, should have played. What I come up with was a plan, and I went to try to execute it. So here comes the bishop to swap off the good knight. I get on with exactly what I just said. Funny enough, threatening this check, which I didn't see. I didn't need to, because by the time, as soon as I played my queen there, he took the knight. So... The good news is, I didn't do an instant recapture of the pawn. As I said, I don't really want to take with the pawn ever, just because it gives him the open c file. He can just get there quicker, because my rooks are doubled, so there's no defense to either. Oh, okay, maybe the c rook. Sorry, the rook on the first rank can get there because of the bishop. You don't ever want your bishop dragged away after an exchange, just in case the pawn's coming through. But the other big plus of not take... Okay, I relied a little bit on chess principles here too. I didn't want an isolated pawn. I wanted to keep my 3 pawns together. Because pawn islands... I'm not really strong enough to talk about pawn islands. But let's just say the more you have, the worse it is. That's just a general rule that I work by. I don't know like every situation where that's true or not true. But taking with a queen also pins the rook, which definitely leads into some sort of trouble. Because funny enough, around here, I'm starting to think about g4. Because I get really aggressive when I get into a game. I maybe not from the word go, but I do eventually get there. And then potentially I'm taking, and this rook's actually in a really nice square. Can just swing over, the bishop. If the bishop can come here without the pawn running through, I've suddenly got a massive attack here. So my plan is crystallizing, shall we say. He drops the bishop back. He wants to get some defense along the dark squares. I think that's totally reasonable. I bring my rook over. I know what I was just talking about g4, but annoyingly, after he's played his bishop back, he can now actually challenge my queen. Oops. Which one was I afraid of? Not that rook, obviously. Maybe not. He's going to lose his pawn. I don't know how big this pawn is. But I was concerned about just... what's going on here? Oh, if I play a nothing move. Well, I mean, g4 is probably the best move here, funny enough. So I missed my first opportunity to play g4. Hang on, no, I think I was going to play g4 and then I was just worried about what he was going to play next, which was just this. Well, maybe this is no good. The point is the queen's coming off, and I was thinking, well, I'm not going to checkmate him if the queen comes off. But I mean, the computer's saying I've still got a 0.6 advantage here. I don't know. As a player and an attacking player, I want my queen on the board. So that's why I played what I played, which was I want to play g4, but I don't want the queens coming off. So I played blunder with this rook. This is not a good rook. Because after, not right now, obviously the rook's still pinned, but I'm running into potentially rook over and then losing the rook because the queen can't get back to defend that rook. I mean, it's a ghost. Probably this one's the scarier one actually. I don't know exactly how I'd ever get that to work. Maybe queen here, queen here. Anyway, I just wanted to avoid all of that because if I use this rook, it's defended by the bishop, so I don't have to worry about any accidental rooks in front of queen shenanigans. Well, I've lost games like that before, so that stops that. There's no, I completely control this file. It's quite amusing. Earlier on, he completely dominated the E file, and now I completely dominate the D file. So he saved the pawn, so his queen can move. So I don't think I was ever going to take this pawn. So he gave me the 10p I needed, which was to play g4. I mean, it's just too tempting for me. I can't resist a move like this. Even though you know, it's fairly scary for both sides. Taking's definitely best. Originally, you know, because you get a rush of blood when you play a move like g4. You know, you go, oh my god, I'm going to attack him, I'm going to attack him, I'm going to keep going. Ah, yeah, destroy. And then you just like start telling all your friends, and then I just lost straight away to a queen check, and he picks up the bishop. So I don't know if I'm getting better or worse at this. I think I'd like to think I'm improving. I think because I was nearly playing f5 again, just instantly losing, and I just took a big deep breath and went, no, hang on a minute, there's a check. So where I wasn't seeing the knight f6 check earlier, I was more, which was a positive for me. I'm seeing more the negative tactics that can happen to me, which is a good bad thing. I mean, I need to get the positive side of tactics going too. But not losing in one move will definitely be something I want to keep adding to my game. So now my attack in a minute after the bishop moves, or I defend the bishop, can carry on. But the point being, it's just nice to have two pawns. He's not really going to move his pawns, is he? And there's no easy way to get behind unless I let him to this square. So this rook's pinned. The point is, if I can ever play this, I win the rook. So he tried king g8, which allowed, and it isn't the best move, but I was like, great, finally I can move this bishop with check. So there's no pawn coming down. It's not a move I'm going to be able to play, but if I could maybe sit my bishop in here and play f5, I just, you know, it's fantastic. This pawn's going to get picked up. Happy days. But of course, he can just block with his bishop. And here, again, oh, this is why chess is really complicated. And in fact, the first round of the next day, I suffered for this. Is to find a quiet move that's just winning. I'll give you a couple of minutes to think about it, because a little bit, sorry, excuse my voice, a little bit time constraints was I was only looking at two moves here, but there are other moves. Chess, there's a lot of pieces on the board to consider. I was considering f5 straight away and bishop takes, and I didn't get any further than that, because the point is now I can play f5 because he's not picking up the bishop after the check, and I can just block with the rook. There's no more checks. Oh, that's not the move I played. There's no more checks after the rook. Stop picking the rook up. After the queen gets here, there's no checks afterwards, because the bishop obviously controls the next check-in square, and actually gets my rook into a position where it probably won it anyway. So the quiet move that I didn't consider is simply dropping the bishop back. Which you're thinking, whoa, hang on a minute, you're not going to be able to play f5 now because the queen's just going to drop in. With the same problems that we had previously, except this time his bishop's actually defended. But what does black play here? Let's think of something reasonable. I mean, otherwise I'll just play the computer move. What does black play? Okay, so we'll just move the queen, and we'll keep the queen on the square for the check. Now I can just lift the king up. I mean, I've had this. I had this against the 198 at the what Imperial Chess Congress, where you can just get away with moving your king to silly places, so that you can then just bring rooks over to checkmate people. And it's actually a really tough idea to meet. Rook f6. Oops, sorry. Rook f6, because you don't want me to be playing this. I've got a couple of choices here. I can even just play king up. Is king up any good? Am I hitting g5? Yeah. And then bringing the other rook over. I mean, doubling up, defending this. It's a continuous attack, basically. What I played is very forcing, and well, you'll see. So bishop e3 was the best move, but not one I considered. It's very hard to consider backwards moves when you feel like you're the one who's attacking. So bishop check, bishop blocks, and I went with what I thought was the safest way, which was bishop takes. And I'll show you why, because obviously the moves are going to force themselves. Actually, I should show the one line that I couldn't work out, and that's this one. I just couldn't work it out. So I think he still checks, because he's looking to, and I have to, obviously I can't be moving my king around because I'll probably be in trouble. So I block the check, then he can take with check, then I take with check, and I got to about here, and then I had no idea what happens after he just brings his queen back and just blocks it, keeping his passed pawn. My attack's pretty much gone. My king is open, and I just didn't know. I just couldn't see any further than this. So I went with something I could see that didn't have my king completely open. The irony is my king gets completely open later. But if I take, at least, you know, there's no bishop takes, and I still have my f pawn controlling this square, so there's no queen blocking. The downside is obviously the king's moved now, so there's no pin on this rook anymore. So f5 isn't as dangerous. So I check, hoping he'll go somewhere stupid. If he goes here, then it's going to be mate. You gotta hope. You know, we're both in a little bit of time pressure. You know, it's been a long game. There's a lot going on. He just brings his king back quite sensibly, and I'll play f5 because I've seen this check, but there's no more bishop checks coming in. So he plays it, and I play my rook, and then this is the point where I thought I was just winning, because I'm attacking his rook and I'm attacking his queen. He's a resourceful chap. He really is. This is a nice little move. Okay, so if I take his queen, he takes my queen. He still has his passed pawn. His rooks are more active than my rooks. It's tricky. So I was actually pretty impressed by that. The only good news is wherever I move my queen, he has to move his queen. But then he's offering to swap queens again, because he has to defend the... He has to move his queen away from being attacked. And after I go here, he hasn't got that many squares. I could go here, that's even more active. Anyway, black's probably way back on top now. But luckily, or skillfully, no, it's not skill, because I didn't see rook e6, such a nice little move. I got a sneaky square over an a7 attacking the b pawn. And my ideas of attack have not gone. I want to take here, and then queen check, and then pick up his rook. So quite happy with queen a7. He said he didn't see that, and that's fair enough. But if he saw all the other squares, it's a bit slack not to see the last square my queen could go to. But anyway, has to play queen e5 because there's not really other many moves that are particularly good. As I say, I'm not just worried about the queen coming here, because then I really am threatening to blow the position open. Because at least here the queen's defending the rook. I take anyway, because I've got to get that rook active. After taking here, I've still got exactly the same threat, so it makes sense to take. Rook takes. Queen takes. So my threat's on. Unfortunately, he gets some checks too. And here, it's a small blunder, because even what I played doesn't lose. But it's hard to play this defensive move. And to be fair, when you've already pre-worked out a sequence, it's very hard to stop doing a sequence. I'm going to play King H1, and I know this check's coming, but I'm like, well, I can block that. You take King takes, and in what? You got a check here, big deal. I'll just go down to H1. Okay, you got a check here. This is all what happens as well, by the way. And I know my king can get to G2, and there's no more checks. But he misses something in that little combination. The best defensive move, and it's one that I feel it's horrible to play, is Rook F2, because this one feels like I'm just getting mated. But I just get away with it. It's just, because I couldn't see this, I didn't play it. But you just calmly just block it again. What, the queen has to move? Makes sense to take again, because I'm here, remember, for the check the whole time. But it feels really weird to self-pin a rook. But he has nothing better than Queen D1 again. Let's say he tries to take advantage of the pinned rook. Well, we can just get the queens off for one. I'm not sure getting the queens off is best. I don't know though. That's quite a pass pawn too. Yeah, I think I can pick this pawn up pretty quickly. My king's really fast. But I guess he just picks this one up. But, rook and pawn endings aren't exactly my forte. But then I'm not getting mated, which is what I thought I was just going to get mated if I blocked with the rook. But it's silly. Like I say, check, which I thought I saw was potentially his next move. And I was panicking and going, oh my god, and then I'll go king here and then rook check. And then I'm getting mated. But you don't have to. You can just calmly go, oh yeah, I'll just block that. Ugh, chess and endings with queens and rooks and pawns flying all over the place. Ah! So anyway, that didn't happen because I took this pawn, which potentially, oh yeah, sorry, no, with this position, I took the pawn, threatening what I was saying on F7. King takes, and I went here. Now, with both pre-planned again, it's quite funny in chess, no matter what your ability is, if you're stuck in a sequence of play, you will follow it through. And he does play the rook check, as I said, because it's very tempting. And he's probably thinking, oh, I'm going to get him here. And he said after the game, he felt a bit of pressure, and he was looking for a perpetual. And when you're looking for a perpetual, you'll probably find it, instead of playing the better move. And in fact, he doesn't find a perpetual, as I've shown already. But here, you just take this pawn. Now, it's quite a cold move to do, because you're grabbing pawns when your king's potentially attacked. But the queen's actually now a fantastic defender of this square, and a fantastic attack of the F1 square. And I'm not lost, but I'm not anywhere near a good place. I have to come back and defend the rook, otherwise this check's just death. So I can't allow that. And he's just bellow again, Queen E6, and he just pushes the pawn down the board, and very hard for me to stop. His king is actually safer than my king because he's got a pawn to hide behind. So that's how quickly a game could turn, even like at a moment like this. But he didn't take the pawn. He went with the checks because it's tempting. So let me just get to where I was just saying. There we go. And he realizes he's got no more checks here, so he defends the pawn again, attacks the pawn. So I defend the pawn with check. It's going to be check. King down check. There we go. So now I'm defending the pawn. My queen's very active. His best move is King E8. And here I forced a perpetual because I felt like I've lost control. My attack where I was supposed to mate him on H6 or G7 is all gone. And we're both low on time. I'm going to give all the excuses now. I repeated. But I could have played on for the win, and I saw that I could, obviously I can see Queen F5 here, but I'll just show you the line. Where are we? So instead of repeating with the check here, just King G3. Or I could have played queen here. Oh, check. I could have played queen here. These are the two ways to play for the win. Because my king is really fast, and I can get to this pawn really quickly. I guess, and I half regret, don't regret, because it was a good game anyway. I've lost rook endings 2 pawns up, and so that's a lack of confidence on my half. And when I win a couple of these rook pawn endings, I'm going to get more confident. Hopefully, not even think about it, no brainer, go into it. I thought he was going to just be able to pick this one up, and then this problem would be a problem, but this pawn's already moving, so it'd be a lot harder for him to defend than it would be. It'd be hard for me to mess up, I should say, even with like lack of time. So I did take the chicken way out. Now, a clever little line. I'll just show one line that's quite clever. If I'd played king g3, which is the other way. So now the queen can move because the king's defending the pawn. Say he pushes the pawn. Get on with it, as it were. I've got a lovely little move here. So I'll give you about 5-10 seconds to think about it, because it's not very easy to find, but it's a lovely little move. White to play and be in a very, very good position. So those of you that managed to see this, high five. What a move. It's just awesome. So if you take, that's the first line, you just take with check, king moves, and you pick up the pawn. And now you just, as I show you at the London Chess Classic, I could still mess this up because it's 2 pawns advantage with a queen ending. But the big difference here is there's other pawns on the board, so I'd actually have a fairly good chance here, unlike last time where I just walked into a stalemate. Gosh, what a patzer. That's line 1. That's the one that just wins that way. The other one is if you just move the queen. So let's say queen e4. That looks sensible ish. Then we just got simple rook f5 threatening this and then threatening mate. So the queen's come off anyway. And now the king, look how close the king is to this pawn. It's just easy. Easy! Not a lot you can do about it. If the rook ever comes over to attack this pawn, you just bring your rook back. Actually, I don't know. This is still tricky. I think it's tricky. Maybe it isn't. So attack this one and this one. Defend that one. Now what? Now what are you going to do, Mr. Black? D4. Okay. But surely just king over. Yeah, it's easy to win. The only thing is the king can't take instantly because of the rook takes here. But even then, you probably still. This pawn is so good, and you don't have to give this pawn up. I don't think you do. Say you defend it. We should bring rook over, no? Attack the rook. Where's he going to go? He's running out of squares. Anyway, that's a long story short. It didn't happen. I didn't play on. I chickened out, as it were. And I regret that, but I didn't want the last game of the day when I'm really tired. And it was a long game. Like I say, we're both down to 2-3 minutes each. Didn't want to mess it up. Anyway, so that's the end of that game analysis. I'm looking forward to my next under 2200 Hampstead competition. The very next competition I'm playing is going to be the Petswood one I mentioned. The rapid play with a little bit of cash. I'm guaranteed to play some really good people there because there is no money in chess. So if there is a little bit of money, then everyone will come. That's just some sort of chess organizer's rule of thumb. But anyway, for now, thanks for watching, and I'll no doubt be back soon. I hope you enjoyed that. Please like, please subscribe, and I'll see you all soon.